New day, new guest. Happy Friday to everyone out there. Today I have Jessica with us, who is a marketing and a business leader who has worked in the tech, education, and arts industry, which is an interesting combination, which a lot of people won't take together. But Jessica is currently working with a company called Magoosh, which most of us might know because I think that used to be one of my go-tos when I was looking for notes when I was trying to study. But let's welcome Jessica on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom, where she will tell us about her experience with Magoosh, how she interviewed over 70 people and helped the company grow, and if she has any tips for job seekers out there, what would it be? Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us, Jessica. How's your Friday going so far? What are your plans for the weekend?
Oh my goodness, I got a new dog this week, so it
What
has been just
breed?
a whirlwind. A rescue dog, and we
Ah,
think she's part beagle, part terrier. She is the gentlest, sweetest,
did you
but
name
also
her?
very fun. Her name is Maple.
That's
Actually,
cute.
my 5-year-old son named her, so her name is actually Maple, middle name Syrup, and she is
Cute.
sweet and sticky in that she loves to stick with her people.
That's very cute. So, how's Maple settling in with your family then?
It has been just a whirlwind, but really, really wonderful. She loves to cuddle on your lap, and she just arrived with us less than 2 days ago. So this
Oh
weekend is
wow.
going to be a lot of good doggy time.
Okay, that sounds wonderful, Jessica. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope your dog enjoys with your family, especially your son, because that sounds adorable. Like Maple, that sounds like a very cute name. So, Jessica, can you tell us about Magoosh, how you ended up at the company, and how your experience has been so far?
Sure. So I have been with Magoosh since 2015, so over 6 years. And I always knew about the company. So the co founders started out of the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. That's also where I went to grad school. And they were my classmates. So Bhavin, Hansu, Pejman, they started the company, I think our first year back in 2009. And I remember actually they interviewed me when they were starting the company about my experience taking the GMAT. Um, and I knew they were starting this company, and then over the years, after Haas, I went to Apple and did marketing, and then after that, I went to a company called Smule. They do mobile music apps. Um, so I was away from Magoosh for a while, but I always kept up with them because I would hear these incredible stories. For a while, no one had ever left the company, which is crazy in a tech startup world. So I wanted to know, what's the secret sauce? Like, what are they doing to make the culture so great? So over the years, I talked with Bhavin, the CEO, and then in 2015, it turns out the very first person was leaving now after 5 or 6 years with the company, and it was their marketing director at the time. So I was looking for a new opportunity. Bhavin and I actually overlapped at our 5-year reunion, and he asked, "Oh, are you looking for a job?" And I went through the whole process and everything, but at that time, specifically, I was looking for an amazing culture, and that's what I found.
Okay, and what was exactly about Magoosh and their culture that you were like, okay, this is the company that I want to work with?
Yeah, I mean, at the core of it is really kindness and respect, which seems so very basic, but I think is, unfortunately, sometimes rare to find. I think, particularly kind of at the leadership level. But Bhavin is one of the most talented yet humble people I know, and I think just from the very beginning, um, Magoosh has had a set of core values, which I know many companies have core values and they're kind of like posted on the walls. But the way in which Magooshers, we say, live out core values every day, and we reference them, they are part of the actual culture. So an example here is we have a value done over perfect. So all of our values are actually structured as inequalities. So done is greater than perfect, which means at some companies like Apple, I was at Apple, and perfect is pretty much expected there. It's very much part of the culture that you're going for very high quality perfection. At Magoosh, a different philosophy. So getting something started, we will often share out documents or ideas, and we'll say, this is 30% done, but I wanted to share it out with you, get your feedback, incorporate that feedback, and get it to maybe a 70% version. And the benefit of this really is you're sharing out your ideas early, so you're able to get buy-in or pushback before you yourself have invested a lot of time and energy, and you're including people along that process. So just one example of
That's
lived
wonderful.
values.
That's wonderful. I think I read something like that yesterday, which is like doing something is better than nothing. So that 10 minutes of exercise compared to not exercising at all is something considerable that could turn into a long-term benefit when you look at it. So I definitely love that, because I think people usually just get scared that, okay, they've not done the 100%, so what's going to happen now because there was a deadline. But showcasing that, okay, I might have not finished it, but I'm actually making progress on it and getting feedback from people just expedites the process, because different ideas working together with different people is just always so wonderful. So thank you for sharing that. That's actually really amazing, and I can see why people stuck with Magoosh for such a while, because of the amazing culture. And Jessica, I'd love to hear, because you mentioned that you've been with the company for quite a while. Can you maybe speak about how you got people in? Like, you interviewed over 70 people. So can you maybe specify regarding what was the interview process like? What characteristics or skills did you assess the candidates, and what made them, what was the X factor in them that you were like, okay, these are the people that I want to work with?
Yeah. So our process has changed over time, based on kind of input of our candidates, um, and really, during my time at Magoosh, an increased focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, which has been a positive shift. But kind of at the core, there are elements that have stayed the same. So we at Magoosh, we think about recruiting and hiring as really, it's a relationship between the company and the prospective applicants or prospective employees. So from the very beginning, our recruiting team just tries to be as open, welcoming, transparent as possible. We have tons of resources that we will share upfront to really help candidates opt in to what we are, what the role is, what the role is not, what the company is not, because it's a choice, right? So there's kind of an introductory stage where recruiters will share out information, because some of the roles tend to get lots of applicants. Sometimes that does have to be kind of one to many. But over time, we have done more and more sourcing, finding people, candidates, and then there is typically an assessment phase. So this is more about, can you do the job? And do you have skills, whether they're directly linked or transferable, that will kind of set you up for success in what we need from the role? So typically it has been mostly written assessments. We really, this is one part that has changed over time. I think when I joined Magoosh, I probably spent way more than the recommended amount of time, like probably 10 to 20 hours on the assignment. And I know back in the earlier days, others did as well. So over time, we had gotten the feedback, that is not possible. If you have, yeah, young kids, or you're in grad school, or a host of other reasons, or working at a job. So we've really tried to cut that down to kind of the core essence of what is necessary. So it's now like a half hour to a 2 hour assessment, and it really is a chance for you um, to display what you can do, but also a chance for you to experience what is needed from the role. So if you do the assessment and you're like, oh, that was actually really fun, like that's a good indicator that the role is a good fit. And then we have a couple rounds, whether that's phone or nowadays virtual, or it used to be live, uh, of a follow up to the assessment, typically, as well as a couple of culture interviews. And those culture interviews are really where we start talking about those Magoosh values. So, going back to that example of done is better than perfect, there's actually some dimensions of done is better than perfect that we're looking for. So, there's, can you move on after a decision's been made, even if it wasn't your decision? Um, can you, get started quickly and move through tasks quickly? Like we will kind of ask questions that try to get at just painting a picture, getting a better story of what you have done in your work experience, how you approach problems, how you approach work.
Okay, I love that humanistic approach because I think so many companies place so much emphasis on the technical skills that when it comes to actually understanding the person, whether the person would be a good fit for the organizational culture, that's when usually the mismatch happens. And when the person actually ends up joining, even if they scored really well on the technical aspect, they just feel like they don't fit in. So now I can see that how Magoosh filtered and sifted through candidates to ensure that the candidates that they chose at the end of the day were the perfect for the organization and its culture. So thank you so much for sharing that. But other than that, Jessica, we like to keep things short. Our time is up. It was an absolute pleasure having you as a guest. I wish you all the best for your next future opportunity. And I hope that you continue to make a difference in this world. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.